If JCB is wearing anything more than a wife beater and boxers, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed. All right, I believe this means we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tech fans of all shapes and sorts and sizes and persuasions, welcome to another Monday morning tech chat show on the SGGQA podcast channel. I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell, SomeGadgetGuy, the SGG of this terribly named podcast series, and the QA stands for question and answer. So I like to make these interactive discussions, fun conversations to start off our week, and we're going to be leaning hard on the QA today. I have no show notes. I have no plans. We're doing it live. We're doing this on the fly. This is going to be another fun, loopy podcast. My wife and I, we spent 15 hours in the car yesterday with a very strong-willed toddler, a 4-year-old, who I don't think enjoyed being in the car for almost 15 hours yesterday. And this is coming off of the tail end of a week of travel. So we were way off our schedules, way off our sleep, and it was a mad dash to get home just so we could sleep in our own beds. We were sort of in between pockets of storms, and there were some alerts and some warnings, and maybe we might get some more snow. We totally didn't get more snow, but it was pretty great. Already seeing some crazy awesome traffic here in the live chat. Steve, Q3 Becker, Matt Tyler, Gary the Fireman. LFA, missed you, bud, at SomeGadgetGuy. Hope you had an awesome week with your family. Thanksgiving is our holiday. I might have to subject you to some home movies about how we do Thanksgiving up, because we do Thanksgiving up right. But yeah, it was a delightful week. Several days between visiting my family and my wife's family. We just didn't even have coverage. Apparently, rural New Mexico doesn't have the most robust data network and infrastructure. So there were a couple days there where just my phone was a camera because that's all it could do. Matt Tyler, 15 hours, man. The U.S. is massive. So, okay. The drive from Los Angeles to Albuquerque is 14 and change if you follow the posted speed limits. And then you have to account for taking a stop, stretching your legs, getting out, letting your daughter run around and be crazy for a little bit. I got to say, so Lex is 4 years old. That is a bit of a haul. We had planned to stop about halfway, grab a hotel, get some sleep. But we were feeling pretty good. My wife and I, we got real ambitious. We sort of had a conversation with Lex, letting her know what was going to happen. She was very displeased because she wanted to stay in a hotel. And so I had an old tablet, and we fired up a movie and let her watch a couple movies, and that kind of calmed some of the angst. We did get into a bit of a screaming fit as we were nearing Barstow. But we were pretty confident she was just tired of snacks and she wanted like a real meal. Like she was hungry. And so what we had was a hangry toddler. And so we stopped in Barstow. That's, what is that? That's roughly 3 hours from where we live. So it's like the last stage. You know, we've been in the car for 12 hours-ish. And we're getting into the home stretch. We stop. We pull up to a Panera Bread. They have mac and cheese. Lex is ecstatic. She's out of the car and eating mac and cheese, and all was right with the world. So after having just recently been screaming and throwing kind of a bit of a temper tantrum, we get her back into the car after eating her adult-sized portion of mac and cheese. Just she had a spoon and a fork, and it was motion blur as she was shoveling this mac and cheese into her mouth. Even with the snacks. I mean, it wasn't like we starved her. I mean, we had food on the road. It's just she wanted a meal. So we get into the car. She's been playing this new game where she's a pirate. And she even talks with a little pirate voice as they're going after the bandits. We'll be looking for the buried treasure. We play that game for about 5 minutes, and then she goes, "Pirate mommy, pirate daddy, I'm tired. I love you more than all the treasure buried around the world, but I'm going to bed. And then she just went to sleep. This has like never happened before. Lex never just goes to sleep on her own. It's always a bit of a cajoling her, letting her burn herself out. But she was content. She had a full stomach. She was wrapped up in my hoodie and some blankets. You know, the air was cool, but the heater was on our feet, so the car was warm. And we just got that one lovely moment of the most content toddler ever telling us she loved us more than all the buried treasure around the world. And then we made the bandits walk the plank. So it was actually, I mean, there was a middle section of the drive that was rough, but I love desert driving. Like when there's CES, I like to drive from LA to Vegas because it's just, I love that mountain desert driving. Same thing. Arizona is a bit rough. They love pulling over cars with out-of-state plates, so you set your cruise control to 1 mile under the speed limit and just ride it out. But New Mexico driving, California driving, high desert driving is just lovely. I mean, that's where you get that old sense of Route 66 and the freedom of the open road. And I love it. I mean, I genuinely enjoy it. You put on some cool music. My wife and I got to have brilliant conversations about movies and TV and music and what we're going to do with our family and, you know, the vacation we just had. So it was actually a really nice day, but I'm exhausted. It was a long drive. Let me get this out of the way here. From Allah Hassan 61 on Periscope saying hello. Zhao Botnick saying, yeah, people. Steve, Q3 Becker, he also had a vacation. He's back from a week-long cruise. We got a couple photos from him on the Patreon, and looks like he had a good time too. Lavinus Joe. Hey, Juan, how was your Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving was phenomenal. Thanksgiving is my holiday. In my family, Thanksgiving is roughly 3 days of prep and cooking, and then days of leftovers. And thankfully, we had enough time to do it upright this year, where we were out there, we were doing all of the prep work. We had turkey. We had 2 different kinds of mashed potatoes. We had sweet potato with scallions. So they were like cubed roasted sweet potatoes with scallions. I do a corn and broccoli baked dish. It's kind of a corn and broccoli casserole. We do the green bean casserole, but we did it with fresh green beans, and my sister made her own mushroom soup. So it was almost this almost this I don't know, the word's failing me now because I have zero sleep, but was just phenomenal. It was like this like mushroom red wine soup that was super flavorful. We did a pumpkin pie. We did a Mexican chocolate pecan pie. That was really good. That was new. We hadn't tried that one before. My dad always smokes a turkey, and my mom always oven preps a turkey. So we had 2 smaller turkeys, but for us having 2 smaller turkeys, they were both pretty big turkeys. And then we had 10 people for dinner, but then most of the family stuck around, so we had 2 days of leftovers going through everything. It was pretty remarkable. Jabatnik, pirate going after the bandits. Aren't the pirates bandits? So you have to understand, my daughter loves telling stories where villains learn lessons and become good guys. So on her pirate ship, it's her pirate family, and we sail the seas looking for buried treasure, but we don't take things from other people because taking things from other people is wrong. So then when pirates board our ship, we make them walk the plank so they get all wet, and then when they get all wet, then we can teach them lessons on how to be better. So we let them back on the boat after they've learned their lessons, and then we can all work together. So it's adorable. I really wish I could say like, oh, I was teaching my daughter how to be a good person. She kind of came up with this scenario on her own, so we just ran with it. But it was really cool. Like my dad sort of jumped right in. We were driving around Albuquerque, and she started playing it because it's just her imagination game. And my dad just kind of, Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Dad, retired Air Force, just went right in to talk about, those pirates and those bandits. And then my daughter had to teach him, like, well, we don't hurt the bandits because we're going to teach the bandits. And my dad thought that was hilarious. Levinus Joe. Kids are amazing little people. They really are. Charlie Spirit Song, mac and cheese, yummy. And it was a good, I mean, so I haven't been to a Panera Bread in forever. It was the only place where I figured we could get something that wasn't just another burger and fries. I get so sick of like doing fast food on road trips. So Panera Bread isn't like amazing, but I was able to get a salad that had avocado in it. My wife got like their turkey chili, and then when we saw mac and cheese on the menu, we go up to the register, and the guy's like, "Oh, so you want the kids' mac and cheese?" And you're like, "How big is the bowl?" And he picks up like this little cup. It's a little cup of mac and cheese. And you're like, "That's not gonna work for my daughter. She can eat." So we get the adult, and it's like a platter of mac and cheese, and we set it down in front of her, and like I said, just Tasmanian Devil motion blur. That's all we would have been able to get. It was pretty phenomenal. Talks with TJ. Juan, what was your favorite dish from Thanksgiving? Oh man, that's a tough one. I gotta say, I think the family favorite, the one that we've never experimented with, the one that we all sort of eliminate first, is my mom's stuffing. So she she makes a sourdough bread. She cuts it up into really thick blocks, and she lets that go stale. And then it's a variety of different veggies, carrots and parsnips. So, spicy carrots, with sausage and a little thyme. Then a couple little cubes of small fruit, like a little bit of apple. And then you kind of mix all that up together, and then it gets cooked in the turkey. And it's phenomenal. So like you get those big cubes of dried out stale sourdough just soaking up everything in there, and it's super versatile. So like you can eat it like a meatloaf, you can put it on a sandwich with turkey, you can make like a Thanksgiving sandwich out of it, or you can just like eat it as its own bowl of every food from Thanksgiving. So that's pretty killer. My corn and broccoli came out pretty good this year. It's a creamed corn, where we made our own creamed corn. I chop up fresh broccoli, a little bit of onion, mix some egg in so you kind of all binds together, and then you top it with Ritz crackers, and you kind of bake all that, and it's this really, it's a corn broccoli, really fresh tasting. Scoop it out, goes really good with anything. So I was really happy with how that turned out this year. Matt Tyler, I had a cheese sandwich. Somehow I think I lost the foodie war. I don't know, Matt Tyler. See, Matt Tyler is out in the UK. I kind of feel like if the UK had to celebrate every day where there was like British occupation or some kind of secession from the UK in terms of the colonies, I feel like nothing would ever get done in the UK. I feel like every day would be sort of set aside for some kind of former UK colony celebration day. And Talks with TJ, thank you for your dad's service. Oh, thank you for thanking my dad for his service. It was an amazing experience growing up with a military dad, and getting to travel the world, and less the world. He got to travel more of the world, but we got to travel over the United States. And now we're starting to sort of teach my daughter about that kind of stuff, firefighters and ambulance drivers and people in the military. And it's good times. I mean, again, it's our family. Matt Tyler, fish and chips every day. All right. So there is quite a bit that I do want to talk about. We probably should cover a little housekeeping. So the show wasn't on last week, but in between 2 weeks ago to today, I did get a couple videos out, and some of them I'm really proud of. So I'm going to pull up a quick screen share here. Just some things that we can kind of sit and chill with, some videos that I think will be fun just as we're wrapping up the year. I still have 4 major reviews that I need to get finished. I'm way behind, as always. Definitely the longest intro before housekeeping. Charlie Spirit Song is our buddy who sometimes helps us put together time codes and links. I don't feel like today is going to be a good day to do that, Charlie. So, SomeGadgetGuy.com, video out after 2 weeks ago, after the podcast, LG G8X versus LG G8, the difference one letter makes. A quick showdown, a comparison between the OG LG G8 and the new G8X, and how different those experiences are, considering, there's only like one letter difference between the two. So I was really expecting the phones to be more similar, but LG has made a very specific decision in supporting one very specific accessory. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the G8X during this podcast, just talking about travel. But for that one specific accessory change, the two phones are very different in feel. So it's a video just kind of putting those together. The G8X review will hopefully be out either the end of this week or early next week, alongside, like I said, a couple other major reviews that I'm wrapping up all at the same time. It always gets dicey coming into December and realizing like I still have like 5 or 6 videos that I should be putting together. Gary the Fireman, I'm not even going to do an over-under for this week's housekeeping. The other major video that we got out was the first part of a 2-part collaboration with one of the patrons on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. I sent Matt Tyler, who's in the live chat right now, complaining about my housekeeping. I sent Matt Tyler my LG V50 with the dual screen case, and he sent me his ROG2. And so I was able to finish up a sort of a look back at the Asus ROG2 Electric Boogaloo. I wasn't able to, because we kept this a pretty, Matt really likes his phone. I mean, so it wasn't like I wanted him to go without his Asus for a really long period of time so I could do the normal full review process, where I do crazy long in-depth camera coverage, and I try and run it through a whole bunch of performance tests, and I keep it for over a month so that I can track all that. I really wanted to get his phone back to him because it's his personal phone. But, even after 2 weeks, still had a lot of thoughts on the phone, and a good chunk of that video. Moving forward, a number of my reviews are going to have some critique of how tech reviews are produced these days. I feel like there's a media literacy problem when we look at how YouTube, like how Facebook and Google are promoting certain types of content. So I've been getting some complaints about the tone. The tone of my reviews, where I'm so critical or sarcastic or so negative. But I feel like there are some important points that keep getting dropped. We come back to a phone like the ROG2 and everything that this hardware has to offer, and it's an impressive piece of phone. I mean, it's an incredible pocket computer. But because of the popularity algorithms, I don't feel people are going to be covering devices like that with the same kind of regularity, the same kind of follow-through, the same kind of follow-ups as a Samsung or an iPhone. And I'm a little bored of my feed being covered in Samsung and I mean, like, now, if I go through my tech feed, I'm getting a bunch of stuff on, like, Galaxy S11 rumors and what's going to be in the iPhone 12. And you're like, or the next iPhone, whatever it's going to be called. I don't care. There's stuff out now to talk about. And if my YouTube channel becomes the island of misfit toys, I'd rather talk about more things than just always have to play, every third video has to be about Samsung and every second video has to be about Apple so that I can appease the YouTube algorithm gods. Is just vomitous. Like, that just makes me want to hurl. So there's a bit of that. There's a bit of that crankiness in my ROG2 review. So enjoy. But that's going to be in a few more, because it also kind of happened in my Pixel camera review. Short story, incredibly long. Asus ROG2. The review's out. You can check that out. That's sort of after 2 weeks of using it. There was a hilarious, terrifyingly hilarious exchange in getting the phone sent back to Matt, where the shipper put the wrong address on one part of one form, so it almost got delivered to a different place. But then when that place didn't exist, the person who was delivering the package signed for it, saying it was delivered. That person got fired. I mean, it was just a comedy of terrible errors. But thankfully, the ROG2 is back in Matt's hands. I don't know how much he'll want to share. But he's also going to be writing up his thoughts of using the LG V50 for 2 weeks before he sends it back to me. So his write-up on the V50 is going to be on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. I really want to thank Matt for letting me use his personal phone for a couple of weeks to put this video together. And I'll be really curious to see what he has to say. Again, it's so funny. We still have this mental lock that, like, gaming phones are unnecessary and mobile gaming is terrible and there's no reason, but, you know, another phone like a OnePlus is probably just as good, but no one really wants to test that, you know, like, oh, the same processor, so it's probably the same, which I've seen on a lot of ROG2 reviews. And again, if you've been following our coverage recently on phones like the OnePlus 7T, the ROG2, and the Pixel 4, you would know that that's not true. You would know with some evidence that there are differences between these different phones. But Matt will share some of his thoughts moving from the premier top best option for gaming hardware and using one of the best options for content creation and media playback. So I'll be really curious to see what he has to say. And also getting to play with the dual screen case on the V50. So he'll be writing that up, and I think it'll be a fun sort of back and forth. Again, someone else's thoughts on one of my favorite phones of the year, my thoughts on his personal daily driver phone. That was a fun collaboration and just a great little community exercise for the SomeGadgetGuy Patreon. Gary the Fireman. Into the Terror Dome! Zalbotnik, how did they find out the delivery guy signed for it? So again, all of this is digital. We got a delivery confirmation, and so I sent that over to Matt, and Matt was like, oh, hell no, I have no phone. And so we looked it up, and that's when we found out the FedEx person that we had here in the States had flipped one digit in his address, but there was a signature on file. It's digital. We had it captured. It was not Matt's signature. And apparently the guy who was doing the last leg of the delivery for FedEx in the UK had a couple other complaints about some packages not making it, but saying it was delivered. So thankfully, it made it back to a shipping center. It was then redirected, sent to the right place. Matt has it now. But Matt was telling me that the FedEx people he was talking to, yeah, this guy's totally fired now. So he's not going to work with us anymore, which is good. Ooh, Matt Tyler saying it's going to be 1.5 pages. I like having some different points of view and some different perspectives. I obviously have very specific likes and dislikes when I talk about technology. I try to play as broad as I can and imagine what other people might like or want, but it is also very difficult to separate what you need in a gadget from what someone else might want in a gadget. So I'm almost positive. I think I almost know what Matt's going to criticize on the V50 after not having his ROG for a couple weeks. But I'll be curious to see like what he did like about the phone, because it's probably going to be a little different than the things I like LG phones for. One last little bit of housekeeping here. Like I mentioned, on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy, this is maybe the biggest camera review I've ever done. So if I pull this up on the screen share here, Pixel 4 XL camera deep dive, exactly what Google promised it would be. This video is 36 minutes long. I did spend about 10 minutes peppered throughout this video talking about how frustrating it's been to cover phones like the Pixel 4. I do have some very stark concerns for the Pixel 4 camera performance. There are a couple things that I ran into that I really hope Google can fix, and some choices that they've made that are actually a little bit frustrating given the claims that Google is making about their camera. But I also felt it's increasingly important that we look at the tone of commentary coming out of channels where it's really easy for a popular YouTuber to beat up on less popular brands, because that's going to make the people who own popular brands happier. So if most of your channel is built on Samsung and Apple owners, it's really easy to slam even a Pixel, because a Pixel is not a huge player in the greater Android ecosystem, and point out all the things that are wrong and all the deal breakers and all the things that, you shouldn't buy this phone, because all that does is make the Samsung or Apple owner feel better about their purchase, and they're a bigger chunk of the audience. And I'm not saying that this is malicious or that it's conscious. I don't think YouTubers are going out of their way to do this, but I feel it's a reinforcing feedback loop. Whenever I say nice things about Samsung, my channel stats surge, and whenever I tell someone that they shouldn't buy an LG and that they should buy a Samsung, those videos surge. It seems like whenever I just compliment Samsung and Apple, my channel does way better. And if I ever find any criticisms, those aren't deal breakers for Samsung and Apple, but the exact same criticisms will be complete and total, don't buy it, oh, such a missed opportunity, fail, better luck next year, for every other brand. And I feel like the Pixel 4 got it bad this year. I was not a big fan of the Pixel 3. I absolutely adore the Pixel 3a. The Pixel 4 is a difficult phone to talk about, but I don't think it's too hard to imagine an audience that will like what Google has to offer here. The big debate will be, how broad is that audience? Like, with the claims Google is making, how many people really will be satisfied by the phone Google has put together? That's a good debate. But I don't have a hard time imagining people in my circles of family and friends who would really love the experience that the Pixel 4 has to offer. Camera experience, overall phone experience, and also knowing that in some very surprising ways, the Pixel 4 is an absolute screamer of a performer that has no equal for a number of tasks that people might not assume it would be good at. So the full 36-minute image analysis, camera deep dive, some philosophy talking about what's going on with the phone, that's live on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. And then the public version, the cut down version of that video, is also live, the camera conclusion. So you can get, my wrap up, my thoughts on the Pixel 4. It's just, it doesn't have all of the analysis built into it. So even if you just want the recap, the TLDR, you can catch that on SomeGadgetGuy.com. And it does have a lot of my complaining. I think one of the things that I was most critical of for Google is they're making this claim of it being the easiest camera to use, but then they've made a few decisions that actually make it harder to use. Like when you streamline too much, that can sometimes get in the way of just the basic functionality of a camera. But overall, I just have a problem with some of their philosophy in looking at market data. And it's kind of the same problem I have with YouTube. If you look at what consumers say they like versus what they actually do, then the product you get from that market data will never evolve. So Google going out there to say, well, most people still shoot 1080p, so that's what we focused on, is not how a market leader leads. That's just a follower. you just looked at market data and said most people don't take the second to go into their settings to bump up the quality. So all we're going to do is give them the same quality we've had for the last 6 years. We haven't had trouble shooting good 1080p video for a while, so there's nothing to improve there. A market leader would look at that situation and say, oh, well, this camera is ridiculously powerful. This hardware is stupid powerful. Why don't we just default to 4K out of the box? And then people will shoot higher quality video. And that also serves Google's ecosystem. It'll get people to spend more on cloud storage. It'll get people to, use some of these other services to share video and to send video. I mean, like, all of that would help Google. I mean, I'm saying this from the most cynical business perspective ever. All of this would help Google, make people use more of their services, even lacking, full quality, uploads, unlimited uploads in full quality from Pixel phones. They're trying to get people to buy these services more. That would help. So it's a complicated device to talk about, but you can get a much better sense of that than me recapping this while I'm sleep deprived and talking about it here. From Dreven61, I would like to see a tips and tricks on the G8X. That could be kind of fun. Matt Tyler, I'm watching this on my ROG. The LG V50 is packed up, ready to be picked up on Wednesday. Okay, so my phone will be in the mail on Wednesday. I loved it. He says he liked the LG more than he thought he would. From Matt Tyler, Motorola are another company that's really flown under the radar this year despite putting out some good mid-rangers. Again, for as much as I love my LG G series, the Moto G series has been great also. Gary the Fireman, with my Pixel 2 XL slowing down and with $200 off, the Pixel 4 XL is on my radar. It could be kind of an interesting through line. At 2 years, I feel like that could be a pretty decent upgrade. Soulless Geek, morning y'all, what did I miss? Well, Soulless Geek, a lot of me just rambling because it's a post-Thanksgiving podcast. One more from Matt Tyler. Most people don't use their screens. Let's make it 480p and save money on pixels. I mean, that pissed me off with Samsung, and it also made me really mad that LG copied Samsung, where you put a quad HD screen into a phone and then you default to 1080p. What? No, that is backwards. You put these features into phones and then you encourage people to use them so they really get their money's worth. I have a real hard time with this current flavor of tech being the whatever's good enough, but we'll charge you more to get it, is very, very frustrating. So I want to talk about some tech winners and losers. Like I said, we drove from California to New Mexico. Because we drove, I packed heavier than I probably needed to, but was able to take a variety of gadgets along with. And I was very interested to see what the rest of my family would think of some of these different devices coming out. So just to kind of recap, my mom is on a OnePlus 6T. My dad is currently on the smaller Galaxy S9. My brother has an Honor 6X, which has a smashed screen. So he's actively looking to shop a new phone. And phones do not last long with him. His entire smartphone career has been about him destroying phones faster than my wife's purse. My sister and her husband both have Pixel 3As. And my cousin, she had an iPhone 6 Plus. And she didn't want to give up her iPhone because it still had a headphone jack. Which, who could blame her for? Getting rid of headphone jacks is probably the worst design decision that's ever befallen mobile gadgets and electronics. So what I took with me I still had my main SIM card in my Pixel 4 XL because I'm literally a paragraph away from finishing the review script for that. I also packed my my loaner Xperia 5 because I'm trying to finish up the review on this, and I took the LG G8X because I'm also halfway through writing up the review for this. So I kind of wanted to see, you know, like, what were some of the reactions to using these are all, you know, like bleeding edge, premium, expensive devices. Each one kind of has its own quirk, you know. With the Pixel 4, it's this, you know, we have radar gestures and the phone is aware of your presence. I wanted to see, like, would any of that kind of resonate with people, especially to people that have Pixel 3As, where a lot of the experience feels kind of the same. I wanted to see, like, I really like Sony's idea of doing a tall, skinny form factor phone. Would that resonate? Like, having a device like that, would that help? And with all of the talk about folding phones just sort of generally being out there, you know, the LG G8X makes an interesting argument for a different kind of productivity. So I kind of played them out in that order. So I started by passing around the Pixel 4, and my mom was playing a few games on it. What did she spent more time than I think she intended to on Slayaway Camp. Just one of those little slider puzzles, but you play a serial killer wiping out kids at a summer camp, and it's in this really cute, blocky pixel. They all look kind of like pop action figure, you know, big blocky action figure things. So, you know, passing it all around, she's playing Slayaway Camp on my Pixel 4 XL. No one really seemed all that lit up about what the 4 XL had to offer in terms of, like, Soli and radar. So for a lot of the people out there that were never super into air gestures, for example, that kind of went with my family's reactions too. There's kind of that shrug of, oh, I guess it's kind of cool when you reach for the Pixel and it's aware of your presence and it starts waking up before you pick up the phone. But aside from that, it was more just, oh, I want to see night sight and I want to see how the camera works, and oh, the video's pretty good. And it was just sort of a normal Pixel, you know. After that, it's just sort of the experience that they all had kind of known. My dad used to have a Pixel too. So he also was looking at this phone like, oh yeah, it's kind of like the same as my other phone. And he, like, didn't seem super impressed, but that's sort of what they expected. Let me take another sip of water here. Matt Tyler, what the fuck kind of game is that? So the next phone, just to kind of pass around, I was showing off the Xperia, and this got a lot of attention. So I handed it to my brother-in-law, and he's like, oh yeah, and you can, like, reach across, and it's really easy, and it's skinnier. I mean, it looks big, but, like, it feels really small in the hand. And then I fired up what movie? Oh, The Big Country with Gregory Peck. It's one of my favorite Westerns. And it is natively perfectly in this aspect ratio. So it fills the screen, and it's that gorgeous, you know, like, was it 1960s cinematography back when we were doing all those funky experiments with Panaflex and Panavision. And this was a different type of a different type of super, super widescreen. And from Steve, I don't remember the last time Juan swore on stream, and it was because I was reading a comment. I kind of figured that one wouldn't fly under the radar. So the Xperia 5, like, people wanted to check it out. You know, it kind of got passed around again, and people were kind of poking at it, and it's just a little bit different. And then you fire up an app and you see how it scrolls, you know, like with information on the screen, and it looks really cool. You've got a lot more stuff that you can kind of pack on there. I always keep my font and stuff set to the smallest. And so things were really looking up for the Sony until I broke out the G8, and then no one seemed as interested in the Sony anymore when they got to look at dual screen and what the dual screen could do, and that kind of won Thanksgiving. Again, I kind of felt bad because I think from phone to phone, if I had just pulled out the G8 as a phone, the Sony probably would have kept more attention for longer. But then once they saw like, oh, and this can wrap around, oh, and I like that, oh, and it can also be just a regular phone. You can take it out of the case and you don't have to buy a folding phone. The G8X did real well this Thanksgiving. So as for myself personally, in capturing family photos and family video, the Pixel is so good in a point and shoot, just rapid, I need to get a photo straight out of the pocket kind of situation. But when I was really trying to plan a shot, I just reached for the LG every single time. And it wasn't so much about the wide angle. For as much gnashing of teeth as there was about the wide angle, the biggest thing for me was getting good video control over 60 frame per second UHD video. And a big part of that was I wanted to make sure I could also slow stuff down, because I really like playing with, you know, half speed. So it's not slow motion, but everything's just a little slower. It's a little warmer. The feel is a little softer. And I put a lot of my family videos to music. So I got some really cool, low-key, jazzy holiday tunes, and my daughter's running around. We got so much snow. Let me see. I don't think this is going to work well because my OBS does not like my VLC currently, and it's probably just going to turn into a slideshow trying to watch this in a browser. But if I throw in this, and then, yeah, it's getting real choppy, but I'll go ahead and throw it in. You know, being able to get this, okay, well, this looks kind of dreary and drab, but immediately I can change this to a brighter image in my exposure settings and lock that down, and it looks pretty good. Oh, I don't know if this will play. My daughter was having so much fun just like running and flopping. No, it's going to be too choppy. Yeah, dang it. And she would like totally slide out. It was super cute. But, you know, getting all kinds of desert snow and desert snowfall and being able to lock that in and have all of the control that I want so I can still get kind of the powder of holiday in New Mexico. And you can see, like, we got, like 4 inches of snow? That's a huge amount of snow for Albuquerque. It was kind of mandatory. Like, I had to shoot this on the LG just so that I could control what was going to get blown out or what was going to be too bright. I wish I could show. So this is the smoker that my dad uses as the turkey that we threw up on the smoker. And it was delicious because he does kind of like this Cajun rub, which is real spicy, and it's super delicious. I'm trying to find. So this is my daughter tried to make Olaf, and it's just adorable because she put the carrot in backwards, but that's how she wanted the carrot. So this was her Olaf. We did get to see Frozen 2. Watching Frozen 2 with Lex was pretty amazing. And then this was my mom's turkey. So that came out real good. We made our own butter. So this was like a fun project where we got like buttermilk and we were able to teach. My daughter, you know, got this jar, and we put buttermilk in a jar, and we shook it up until it kind of churned itself, and we made our own butter. So that was pretty cool. And then I'm trying to see. This was after the 2 turkeys had been cut. So on the left is the oven turkey, and on the right was the smoked turkey. It was pretty delicious. And I'm trying to see. It won't play very well, unfortunately, but this is kind of the full spread that we had, where there's sort of the corn and broccoli, the green bean casserole, the sweet potatoes, the dinner rolls, fresh baked dinner rolls, turkey, stuffing. I really wish, I'm so sorry, like at some point I will figure out why VLC does not like my OBS setup, but these were also the smoked smashed mashed potatoes. My dad goes all out on mashed potatoes. They're pretty much the best. So all of that got shot, cut, edited, soundtracked, transitions. I have like this 2-minute video of Lex playing in the snow. It's only the second time that she's ever seen snow. And for as much as a phone like the Pixel, or I'm a little less familiar, I mean, like I think I could have gotten a lot of this stuff on the Sony. I just kept going back to the LG to make sure I could really lock the video that I wanted to get from that phone. It makes a big difference. If we were just talking about stills, I think the Pixel 4 would have won the week. Being able to just pull that phone out of your pocket and get an HDR shot the easiest, most streamlined way possible. I think that would have done really well. We did have like we did s'mores one night, and let me pull this up here. This isn't a night sight photo. This is just a regular HDR shot. And let me pull this in here. And again, it's just like I'm sitting outside. It's freezing cold. It's below freezing. Isn't that funny? Because it's below freezing when I said it's freezing cold. You know, but that's an out of the pocket, take the quick snap. I want this to go fast because I don't want that marshmallow to refreeze as I just put it on a graham cracker. But, you know, from our little fire pit. And I actually like this photo better than the night sight shot, which got a little orangey and is actually a little grainier. So that's really impressive. But then the panorama stitching and the panorama photos from the Pixel 4 were incredible. Again, the still photography, I think the Pixel 4 would have won the day, but I do a lot of video. And so far I don't think anything has caught up to LG in terms of really giving you good video controls. So the G8X was constantly the phone. I mean, like, I have to do this on the LG or I can't trust that the video is really going to look like what I want it to look like. And then, like I said, drop it into Power Director, cut it up, do some transitions, stretch it out. So our videos are rendered UHD at 30 frames per second, but so many of those videos got to be stretched to half speed. It was, I mean, again, it was a really cool field test because, you know, when I'm in here in the Gadget Lab, any device, I've got a really nice camera, I can always rely on that, or I can pull something else. I didn't travel with anything else but phones and then, the Chromebook. And it was able to move things around. And the Chromebook, we can talk about that too. That was also another interesting experiment for me not being very familiar with Chromebooks. From Soulless Geek, who or what is Olaf? Olaf, the snowman from Frozen. We got to take Lex to go see Frozen 2, and we dragged the whole family along too. And thankfully, it's a pretty good film. It's not bad for as much ire as I feel grown-ups can deliver towards the original Frozen. Frozen 2, fine sequel. From Ellis2, the buttermilk looks like a stock photo. I mean, again, it came out good. It came out real good. Charlie Spirit song. The photographs are mouth-watering. Dude, we had so many leftovers. So we had some other family that was supposed to join, but they lived in a part of New Mexico that got hit real bad by the storms, so they weren't able to show up. And so we had planned for, I think, at one point we had 16 people coming, and then that got whittled down to like 10. So we had food for 6 other people that weren't there. So we ate real well the day after Thanksgiving, and the day after Thanksgiving, we had plenty. It was pretty good. From Natakun, damn it, I just got home and I didn't eat lunch, and now I'm exceedingly starving. From Vasicos 8. So the camera, Vasicos 8 asks a brilliant question about the Pixel 4. I do talk about this a little in the full camera review talking about the app and the performance. Vazikos asks, the camera highlight adjustments didn't help with the snow on the Pixel 4, ? Here's my problem with what Google is delivering and what their philosophy is. When you pull the Pixel 4 out of your pocket and you double tap the power button so that the camera is up and ready as soon as you point the phone at something to take a photo, and you pop the shutter, pop, 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 and it captures those photos, the autofocus is super snappy, all of that works so seamlessly. It's crazy fast. It's super fluid. Nothing gets in your way. As soon as you start using those highlight and shadow adjustment sliders, I feel the entire experience like slams on the brakes. Like it screeches to a halt. A major part of this is just my familiarity with other exposure solutions. So on an LG, you kind of have a hybrid spot metering. So you tap on the screen to focus, and whatever you focus on, the phone loosely meters for what you focus on. And then if you want things a little bit brighter or a little bit darker, you just slide up or down. It's very similar to like a Samsung or an iPhone too. You know, iPhone, you just sort of swipe up on the screen after you've locked focus and it'll get brighter, and you swipe down on the screen and it'll get darker. With the Pixel, you slide across at the top, which means your hand at some point is partially blocking your frame. So then you need to remove to look at the adjustment you just made. And then you want to maybe also compensate by moving the shadows around, and then you have to look again. And it's just slower. Part of this being I am way less familiar with trying to adjust my exposure that way. But I'm not going to do that if a part of this is capturing a photo in the moment. Because, you know, again, I'm not really showing you anything on the screen here, but you tap and you slide up and then you're done is the sort of normal experience that we've come to expect for exposure. If I tap on something bright, the phone is going to meter for that, and then I can just nudge it a little bit brighter or a little bit darker if I need to. Here, it's make an adjustment look, tap the shutter, and by then, I've kind of lost the moment that I would have captured if I just pulled the phone out of my pocket and hit the shutter button. Like, I don't feel the dual sliders really help in the capturing of a moment, but they might be better if you were the type of person who wanted to frame and plan your shot. You know, like you want to take a nice posed photo of the family, you set your phone up, you turn on the timer, you know, you get, you know, like a 5-second timer, and you make your adjustments, you hit the shutter, you run over with your family, and it takes a really nice photo. But if you're already doing that, I kind of feel like your manual modes would have accomplished that better anyway. If you just set your ISO and you set your exposure, like, I understand what Google is doing, and I do see how it could be easier for someone who had zero interest in learning about manual modes on a phone camera. But for me, the biggest advantage of the Pixel camera is fast and fluid, and that as an experience, the dual sliders seems to get in my way. Maybe if I shoot with it more and I get more familiar with it, but let's all be, if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm also kind of lazy. So when I really need to depend on something, I might instead just sort of pick up an LG and know that I'll get the video that I really want to get from that. Soulless Geek. Oh, my daughter's 27. Frozen isn't really on her radar. Aditya Nils here. Hashtag some pajama podcast guy. So unfortunately, I don't have fancy pajamas. I just sleep in a t-shirt, but I am wearing my sweats. So this is what I slept in. I did promise pajamas. From Aditya Anil, is the Pixel slowly adopting a pseudo manual mode? And that's kind of what's so funky about the Pixel. The main core shutter button experience has never been faster, but they've gotten rid of traditional manual controls. Like on a Pixel 3a, you can still change the white balance. Like you can set a different white balance for the lighting. There is nothing like that on the Pixel 4. They have streamlined all of that out, but you need to replace it with something. So these highlight, low light sliders make sense. You gotta have something to control the output from the phone, but I don't think they're better. I don't think they're better than a traditional manual mode or the combination of spot metering and exposure compensation. The difference is explaining that to a general average user consumer starts to sound really technical, but it's not. You know, like it's very similar. Tap on here. I keep unlocking my phone here. Let me just fire up the camera. So, you know, on here you tap, and then as soon as I go to adjust this, you know, I'm blocking part of my frame. So I have a hard time seeing exactly what my adjustment is doing. And then I kind of also have to do the same, and I just want to tweak it, maybe pull up the shadows, but I don't want the highlights to be so bright. I get it, but you know, seeing that in action, what my hand has to do to the viewfinder where I'm trying to compose my shot just feels interruptive to the creation process. As compared to, let me see if I can pull up the camera on this real fast. So I've got my G8, and you tap and you slide. Oops, I slid too far. I have a hard time doing the hand choreography when I'm also trying to keep this on camera. So you tap, and then you slide, and you brighter or darker, and like you're done. To me, that is such a faster action, and keeps my viewfinder largely open, that I don't need to then pull my hand away and examine what I just captured before I go and hit a shutter button. If anything, you tap, you make your adjustment, and then you tap back, you make an adjustment, and you shutter. And it's cleaner, faster, more direct if you need to make an adjustment. But what the Pixel's better at is going straight to the shutter button without needing to make an adjustment, right? Again, there's so much little nuance and philosophy. It drives me crazy when someone puts out a full review on the Pixel 4 a week after the phone has come out, and like that feel in the camera is unlike anything we've used before. It needs a little time so that you can get a feel for it, you can play with it, you know what to expect. And that predictability is kind of a big deal. You will always shoot better on a camera you're more familiar with than you will on a camera that feels a little different. So out of the box, week one with the Pixel 4, why it should never be a surprise that most people can shoot better on a Samsung or an iPhone because they've had them longer, and those changes were less severe than what Google did from the Pixel 3 to the Pixel 4. But again, that requires that little bit of extra philosophy to talk about what is it that this company is trying to do, and what did they actually implement to try and get us there. Matt Tyler, 2024 manual mode. Control it with your mind. I would love that. I would just plug directly into my optic nerve and just take the photo that I'm literally looking at as I'm going through. That would be amazing. Charlie Spirit Song. Actually, what Google's doing here would be great on phones with touch-enabled bezels. See, that could be kind of interesting. Also, why I sort of like shooting on my Xperia is having a dedicated shutter button, so you're not really touching anything on your viewfinder to block anything. It's pretty great. DTNL, you might be onto something there. Patent that. So it was funny. Sorry, I know that was a bit longer of an explanation, but the other thing that was kind of surprising, because everyone in my family plays games, My dad's more into like card games like Spider and Solitaire. My sister and her husband and my brother are super into tabletop board games, but they play a ton of video games. Everyone has a Switch. It's fun because we're getting to sort of share. Oh, are you playing this? Did you try Ape Out? What about Spirit Island? One of the things that was sort of fun to show off, because again, sister, brother, brother-in-law, Switches. My mom is probably going to get a Switch for Christmas. They're all used to that. I have a gaming handheld device and I plug it into a cradle and it shows up on my TV. So I had my G8X and I brought one of my little HDMI dongles, $20. I plug it into the phone, I plug it into the TV, and I recently splurged on a SteelSeries. It was on sale, so I got a SteelSeries controller, and it's pretty good. So I fire up Tesla vs. Lovecraft, which is a phenomenal dual stick shooter that it's a console port. I mean, like, I think it launched first on the Nintendo Switch, and the G8X plays it as well as you would play it on a Switch. So, again, I passed the controller over and my brother's, shooting a bunch of Lovecraftian demons, and it took him a second to realize, oh, wait, this game is being played off of that phone that's connected to the TV. Wait, how'd you do that? So again, I don't think people have fully realized, like, how far we've come with pocket computers, multi usage scenarios, and that mobile gaming has actually gotten a lot better than most people think. It's just full of terrible microtransactions and the games are awful, like they're just gem swap types of games. Candy Crush is a mobile game, and you're like, yeah, but I'm also playing Battle Chasers and Neon Chrome, and there's some really good stuff. Dandara. It's always fun to show that off, but it's also depressing because so few people have made it that far. Like, they don't realize your devices can do this, and they can do it really, really well. From Matt Tyler, I want Asus to make that a thing. It would be really nice. Fat Produce, Andrew Wallace joining the live chat. Thanks for jumping in, buddy. I've just been rambling. I've been talking about different phones. Oh, and by the way, this is the SteelSeries Stratos Duo. So it can connect over Bluetooth, or it has its own standalone wireless dongle. Not a bad little controller. I think I am actually going to splurge. It's a $10 clip so that you can also connect your phone directly to it. I think I'm going to go ahead and splurge on that because I like this better than I thought I would. And it's got a rechargeable battery as opposed to some of the other wireless controllers that require you to use AA's, which seems like a terrible idea to me. But that was great. Again, plugging it directly into this TV and getting to play on proper, dual analog stick controller with triggers and everything, like, that was a huge upgrade to, normally I just play my dual stick shooters by swiping around on the phone screen. It was pretty nice. It was pretty good. Matt Tyler, Stadia fail. I don't think anyone is too surprised that the early experience on Stadia is rough. Now we'll just need to see if Google can actually stick with it and make it better, because that's their big problem. I haven't seen where Google has had the fortitude to improve any of their products. If it's just not automatically popular, they get rid of it. From Q3 Becker, I remember using this controller at work for smartphone gaming. It's not bad at all. And Fat Produce, did y'all see that Valve put the last of their Steam controllers on sale for $5 with shipping? Oh man, that's not good. So I guess if you're really into products that have no future, $5 isn't bad though. I mean, I thought it was decent hardware, wasn't it? I never really did get to use a Steam controller, but I heard they weren't terrible. I just heard like some of the key mapping and some of the software support was more difficult to use than it needed to be. LFA reviews, $5 holla. Good times. Oh wait, I got it one more here. From Charlie Spirit Song, the problem I see with Google and hardware is that they have tendency to underestimate the problems with logistics. LF8 reviews, talking about the Steam controller. It was But Charlie, no, I completely agree. I think there's a certain arrogance that certain companies can have when they're trying to deliver their version of an established solution. So a couple weeks back on the podcast, I was getting real cranky about, who was it? Red. Red, they tried to make a phone and they completely have failed after one generation of the phone and they're walking away. Razer, 2 generations of the phone after buying Nextbit, the team that made the Robin, a really interesting and boundary pushing phone. And they, after 2 generations of Razer phones, just as the phone was getting good, they walked away. It makes us really skeptical. It's hard to promote or to be a fan of smaller companies walking into the space when we see so many examples of bigger companies failing because they didn't have a good long-term game plan. They didn't have a good long-term strategy. And that's what's so concerning. Like, I have a little bit more faith in an Asus because they've been making phones for a while. They've been making gaming gear for a while. I hope the ROG label has legs as a boutique part of their brand. Obviously not a phone for everybody. But a way that you can show a hot rod Ferrari concept vehicle of a smartphone and then still also have a daily driver phone in a Zen phone. That to me is such a great strategy and should hopefully provide some long-term growth potential if they can stick to it and support their products well. They bailed on smartwatches, and I don't think anyone can blame them with the state that Android Wear was in. So we get to Google, and it's the same thing. They have a good idea. They've got the servers to pull it off. There are some compromises to be made in game streaming, but can they stick with it? Can they refine it? And then the biggie, can Microsoft, Google, Apple, Sony, Steam, can they put enough pressure on the infrastructure to improve? Because that's the last leg. Can we improve the data connectivity for over half the population of the people in this country who have terrible internet access so that they can take advantage of these services? Because right now, all game streaming is going to do is offset the people that would have already bought really nice gaming gear. Those are the people that can afford to live in places that have good data connectivity. You're not winning anyone over like, if you're in a middle income or a lower income area, now you don't need to buy a $10,000 gaming rig because they can't stream. They can't stream a game if their internet is terrible. So that's the last bit, is can Google work to solve some of those challenges while improving their service and keeping people interested enough that they'll stick with it? Because, again, they also don't seem to have good plans for long-term growth and long-term strategies. And from Charlie Spirit Song again, I think ever since the Nexus phones, they've had issues with stocking, delivery, support. Again, a lot of the consumer experience on the ground, that last step. How do you interact with the company? How do you get support from the company? How do you even just get delivery from the company? Google has problems when they can't automate something. And even when they can automate something, you get YouTube. They're not great there either. From Vazikos 8, I have more hopes from xCloud. If anyone is going to do this right, it's going to be Microsoft. This is Microsoft's ball to fumble. from Microsoft Game Pass, which is a stonking good deal if you're looking at a subscription gaming service, combined with the infrastructure to pull off all the cloud stuff. Again, I think Microsoft still runs into the same problems where a number of the consumers who might be interested in xCloud are probably already Game Pass or Xbox players. But if anyone's going to do it right, I think Microsoft is the first one to look at. I think Sony is still a dark horse, but since they've opened up PS4 streaming, Sony and Steam have an opportunity to do something interesting here too. They need to ramp up significantly on server side. So PS4 Game Streaming works better than I thought it would. I was playing Crash Bandicoot Racing, just a Mario Kart knockoff, but with the Crash Bandicoot characters. And it was pretty good, you know, just streaming off my home network. What was I playing it on? The V50. Not bad. Not bad at all. So if Sony and Steam could partner with Amazon for cloud services and server-side support, how cool would it be to go into your Steam library and, you know, maybe it's a nominal fee. Maybe it's $5 a month. Maybe it's maybe it's $5 a month for 1080p and $10 a month for, you know, 4K or Quad HD or something better. But go through your Steam library and say, I want to be able to play anything in my library on Steam through my browser. So I don't want to travel with my gaming laptop. I just want to travel with a Chromebook. And I log into my Steam account and it fires up a browser and I full screen that browser. And then I'm paying $5 a month to Steam and I can play anything in there. That to me would be huge. They don't have the infrastructure to jump on that right now. So again, it's going to be Microsoft leading the way, but I wouldn't count out Sony or Steam partnering, making some strategic partnerships to get there and get their catalogs accessible too. Could be really cool. I mean, it could be really cool. And again, it kind of throws a whole wrench in that, oh, but gaming phones. As soon as I picked up the ROG2, the first thing I thought was Stadia or xCloud or Steam Link. And then I have a full catalog of games that are ready to play on hardware that has high refresh rate displays, has great speakers, huge battery life. Like, there's no reason why this ROG shouldn't stomp the crap out of a Nintendo Switch. Like, it's there. We just need those last few steps of like managing the infrastructure and supporting the players and getting all of those pieces put together. It's so close. It's so close. From Charlie Spiritsong, and Steam made local network gameplay over the internet really good. Again, it's real good. You just have to have the bandwidth. Oh no. From Baraketh, I have 6 megabit down, 540 kilobit up. I don't expect a reasonable alternative where I live unless something takes off. Oh man, yeah, that's probably not going to work for you for game streaming. From Fat Produce, I think Google has a problem with their whole philosophy behind their products, and that philosophy doesn't include supporting their products in the long term sufficiently. It seems like they're just too attention deficit disorder. Like in terms of how their projects are managed. And I think there's also a popularity complex at Google. If you want talented developers to work on the individual Google products that they have, you need to keep them interested and you need to see that they're resonating with the community, because you don't want to get stuck working on a Google service which isn't popular. So I think there's a lot of fear in Google to always be working on the most popular platforms and the most popular services. And so then something like a Google Plus doesn't quite land what they think they should. And you see a few developers leave to go work on other teams. And then you see a few project managers shift gears to focus on aspects of Google Plus that are popular. And then that sacrifices some of and then the entire thing sort of slowly withers away due to a lack of interest. But again, I think a part of that is you didn't stick out the hard part. You let your developers and managers and product team leaders move around more fluidly so that they were looking at what was trendy and what was hot. And instead of refining what could have been a great product, it sort of died a death of a million paper cuts in the bureaucracy of Google internally. I think there are some things that, you know, like that kind of a corporate setup works really well to keep things fresh, and you're always sort of on the bleeding edge, and you're always experimenting and playing and tweaking, and new things are constantly picking up because that's exciting and vibrant. But to Andrew's point, I completely agree. I don't think it's good for the long-term health of some services that would have been incredible if they had ever been improved or refined. Oh, from Zalbotnik, GeForce Now supports Steam and Uplay. That could be good. That could be really good. I need to give that another run. I haven't fired up GeForce Now since... I haven't fired up GeForce since reviewing the first Shield tablet. It's been a while. I'm sure it's gotten better than what what I originally used. That's an oversight on my part. Oh, from Pacostin, third-person games with the Steam controller feel awesome. Tried to get sane camera controls with an Xbox controller on PC, and you will be sorely disappointed. From Aditya Anil. So the employees at Google just do what every mainstream YouTuber does. Go after what's trending. Kind of. I mean, if you look at how Google sort of structures their talent pool, it seems like it's pretty fluid. Again, I'm on the outside looking in. I have no insider information on how the corporate structure of Google works, but it is very... It seems to me like it's very fluid, and that resources are allocated in a way which kind of resembles how YouTube treats popularity and trending topics. From Fat Produce, I managed to hack my Steam Link this weekend to run retro games from a USB drive. I felt like I was hacking the planet once I got it working. And from Matt Tyler, the ROG with the controllers and the cases and the dock would crush the Switch. It's just so damn expensive. From Steve, from Q3 Becker, I still use my hacked SNES Mini. I still need to hack mine. It's sitting here at the edge of the table, and I kind of want to get a couple more ROMs on there. So, I mean, no, I didn't say anything like that. I don't know what you're talking about. So, in terms of gaming, not to make this a plug, but because I've only been using it for a little while, the SteelSeries I think is on sale for like $40 now. So $40, and then you add the little phone clip, so it's $50 for a rechargeable wireless controller that also works on a PC, and it's decent hardware. The sticks feel nice and springy. Buttons have a good tactile click to them. Battery life has been pretty decent. I've only gone through one full recharge cycle since getting it a couple days ago. Like it kind of worked. It was cool because we were able to plug it into obviously connected to a phone over Bluetooth, but then also I was able to use it on my sister's laptop. Now she has a Surface, and seemed to work really well. You just plug in a little USB thing and it's hooked up and you've got a controller, and that's kind of awesome. And we were playing some Ape Out on a Surface, and Ape Out is a great game. And again, like, kind of wish I could get it on a phone. So I want to take a... Sorry, I'm just going through these. And a lot of ire over the Google Plus days. I was a big fan of Google Plus, but yeah, I get it. It was not handled very well. I want to take just a quick break here. It's still a Monday morning tech chat show, so we should probably talk about the Reddits. We'll come back and we'll wrap up travel and technology and stuff, because I've got two other major insights to chat about traveling with cool tech products. But this is part of the podcast where if we're concerned about popularity and helping creators grow and finding new content to watch and to enjoy, well, we have a little subreddit that's been growing, and there's been a lot of participation on the subreddit, and I think it's definitely been one of my happier accomplishments in 2019. Just the fact that this idea seems to be resonating with people who stumble onto the subreddit or catch it. We want to find new stuff. We want to help promote new stuff. We want people to grow channels, monetize, and that's what my subreddit is all about. So other podcasts, they might have subreddits where you can drop them messages or share links with them. My subreddit, we really want to promote people that we feel deserve more attention. So if you go to reddit.com/r/glowingrectangles, you get this out of the way here, you can catch a subreddit populated with channels that people want to support. So these are the top stories at our Glowing Rectangles this week. Leading the chart very regularly, one of the top picks on our Glowing Rectangles is Gary Explains. Gary Explains is taking a look at the MediaTek Dimensity 1000 5G, which is a new chipset that's going to be in phones, 5G capable, a more capable performer from MediaTek, and that this might now start to be a flagship SoC from MediaTek, a company that we tend to expect puts out sort of more mid-ranger types of processors for phones. It looks like they're trying to move up the food chain a little. And he had some interesting things to say about the Dimensity. So you can catch that video. I think it's about 10 minutes long. And then right after that, we've got a reaction video from Viper, the man about tech, taking a look at the Tesla Cybertruck and managing to compare them against Apple AirPods. So I'm sure that's an SEO play. But he managed to work in Tesla Cybertruck and Apple AirPods into one video. I'm sorry, it's cracking me up. So I'm sure that video is probably doing well for his channel, just in terms of pure search. Moving down, in third place, Ps4 XL review, picture not so perfect, coming by way of my buddy Josh, my boy Josh Vergara. So you can catch that too, his full review. But again, I guarantee you, if you check out reddit.com/r/glowingrectangles, if you've never been before, you're going to find a new content creator that you're going to like. You're going to find someone who is just starting to monetize their channel. You're going to find someone who is creating and is hungry and is making fresh, new, vibrant content that you haven't seen before. I promise you, you will. Some of the other videos that are rounding out the top 10, this is from Terry Warfield, just talking about his experiences starting a YouTube channel. He's got 7,000 subscribers. The video title, Is It Too Late to Start a YouTube Channel? And he's shooting on a Sony a7 III, you know? So again, we're talking about high quality production value and a fresh perspective from someone on the ground making a new channel now. We've got Painfully Honest Tech sharing his experiences in setting up a Plex server for music. Painfully Honest Tech is on kind of a similar track as I am when we're talking about headphones and music and audio. I mean, there's some fun drama dancing on a lot of his videos. I mean, he built his channel Painfully Honest Tech by engaging in a little conflict. But that's kind of an important idea to share. Streaming services have won the day, but for those of us that have music libraries, that have catalogs, that have sort of cultivated a music collection, getting back into that and having access to that, like, I can't tell you how huge it's been to finally have a NOS that works well. Having network attached storage that my wife and we can connect to anytime we want. We have a collection of DVD and Blu-ray rips. We have years of music and CDs that we've put up on there. Sharing those experiences is kind of a big deal. And again, it's a little different than just, oh, well, you know, I signed up for Spotify. Meh. But I mean, if we go through and like just rounding out the top 10, we've got Galaxy Note 10 and Note 10 Plus, the final review from Easy Computer Solutions. We've got a camera comparison from Fandroid. Fandroid has been doing great work. Their refresh, their channel refresh, and their blog refresh has been huge. We've got For the Love of Tech, talking about some poetic cases for the iPhone 11 Pro. We've got Gadget Byte with the Redmi 8 and 8A review. We've got some dork talking about the Pixel 4 camera, and I hate his face. And that guy just broke 100,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, so whatever. I mean, I guess people like his stuff, but I think he should probably chill with the hats. We've got Nothing But Tech, MBT 88, talking about the Pixel 4. We've got Trent. We got Trent and Marshall talking about the Cybertruck. Again, and this is a biggie. So this was top of the Reddit last week, but we didn't do a show last week, over the last week. And it's Tech Alter talking about Facebook Coin. So if you want a good breakdown on the business behind Facebook Coin, you got to check out Tech Alter's video there. It's again, the thing I love about setting up my own subreddit for this, it is so much different than YouTube subscriptions. It's just night and day. I am subscribed to almost all of these channels. I actually have to go through. There are a couple new channels on here that I'm not subscribed to, so I'm going to go and subscribe to them. But when I go through my YouTube feed, it is heavily focused towards trying to get me to watch big, popular tentpole videos. I miss almost all of this. Like, I don't get this in my feed like it shows up here on the subreddit. So reddit.com/r/glowingrectangles. My plea, my plug. Every week, we grow a couple more followers. We get a couple more subscribers. I see a few more videos get shared. Don't be stingy with those upvotes. Drop some comments. Engage with the creators that are sharing on the site. And again, if you want to keep getting cool stuff on YouTube, if you want to keep getting cool tech commentary in your feeds, in your reader, in your social media, some active participation helps these content creators out so much more. This is the new era. A passive view isn't going to help someone that much. But getting out there, sharing a video, interacting with that creator, leaving comments, thumbs up and liking their stuff, all of those things really do help contribute towards them coming back and making something else new. Because that's what we want. We want to have more cool stuff to interact with. And that's how you get it. You actually have to participate. From Aditya Anil, hashtag some silver play button guy. So, yeah, so I broke 100,000 subscribers. I have no idea what that means. I really don't. I need to go and look in my channel settings, and I think I'm supposed to get an email from YouTube. We'll see how all that goes down. 2 weeks ago, because we were getting really close, I definitely am still conflicted. As how YouTube treats content creators, I feel like when I am doing that obligatory, let me do a celebration video for hitting 100,000 subscribers, I need to almost make two separate videos. The community of people that I interact with are incredible. They're amazing. I love them to death. They have genuinely become close friends. As much as icons and social media handles can become people that those are people that I feel pretty good that I say I know them and they're my buddies. Hitting 100,000 subscribers on YouTube is in a large part due to their support. So I need to celebrate the community of people that like having these cranky tech discussions with me, because they're the reason why I'm getting to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have horrifically frustrating words to say about YouTube. As we're all sitting here together streaming this on Periscope or Mixer or Twitch, obviously I've had some business issues with the YouTube side of that equation. But that is completely different than the group of people that I feel like should share in this accomplishment, because they're such a big part of this accomplishment. So again, I'm seeing people now saying, congratulations, and that's amazing. and that's awesome. And from folks like, you know, Fat Produce and Aditya Anil and LFA Reviews, Goran Petrovic just showed up. Everyone say hey to Goran. Thank you for contributing, and thank you for joining these conversations, and thank you for allowing me into your ear holes and eye holes, because I feel like we all sort of agree, whether or not we agree on solutions or whether or not we agree on the results, that these are topics worth spending some time to talk about. So we're gonna keep talking about this stuff, and I absolutely adore. It's the main thing that gets me up in the morning to keep making this stuff. Is we got a good crew right now. The core group, this is a good group right now, and I want to protect this little community that we're building, because I love it. I really like what we're doing now. So that's again, I might have to make 100,000 subscribers for the subscribers, and then 100,000 subscribers for YouTube. Again, because I was 2 weeks ago, I was super conflicted about it. Now I feel a little bit better, but I feel like, you know, if I harsh on YouTube, I need to make it clear has nothing to do with people who view my content and everything to do with Google. So anyway, so thank you. From Steve Q3 Becker, hashtag #SomeGadgetPosse. That's awesome. Let me get this down. Let me get this out of the way here. All right, a couple other things, and then we can kind of move on. But yeah, so I'll obviously let folks know when I get some sort of silver button, and then I think I'll let viewers decide. You know, maybe we'll make it a part of one of the podcasts. Like, should I display it? Because I feel it's supposed to be a pretty big deal. The Carlos Cartel. Oh, that's dirty. Especially considering, you know, some of the problems my people have down south. Maybe I won't be too cavalier with the word cartel for a hashtag. Some Gadget Gang. That's maybe a bit better. Because I don't want to pick on you. It's just that one actually made me kind of like, ooh, I'm not sure that's a good one. But yeah, I think maybe we'll make it one of the future podcast topics. Like, what should we do with the silver play button? Yeah, should we put it in the bookshelf? Should we keep it on the desk somewhere? Should it maybe be on one of the acoustic blankets? I don't know. We'll figure it out. It'll be fun. We'll do it together. Let me get this out of the way there. Where were we? I wanted to... Oh, yes. So 2 more gadgety thoughts. Let me turn around here real quick. So this was my first real road test with a Chromebook. So this is the Pixelbook Go. And it went way better than I thought it would, but not because of Chrome OS. So, like a lot of my reviews and a lot of my commentary, I feel like there's just like I need to preface a whole bunch, and it makes these reviews so long. But I have not seriously used Chrome OS since the first generation of Chromebooks. What did I have? I had an Acer. Really inexpensive hardware, and there were some good ideas there. But essentially, you know, when Chrome OS first started, it was ultra simple. It really was just a browser in a laptop shell. The initial experience of using Chrome OS doesn't feel like it's changed much, but so many of our services are now web accessible in that browser metaphor that you can do quite a bit more just because we've evolved since the early days of Chrome OS. Where I found I was straying from that, though, is I'm trying to walk away from using Google as the backbone of every web service that I use. So on my computer, as I'm pulling up links, like if I do a screen share here, you'll see I'm not using Chrome as my browser. I'm using Firefox. And I like using Firefox on my computers and on my phones. I just like some of the more recent moves they've made. They've started building in some really great user protections. Like I get email alerts when one of my emails shows up in some type of data breach. I just got another one. The SomeGadgetGuy email showed up in another data breach for a service that I might need to look into not doing business with anymore because I was not notified that there was a data breach and that some of my information was released. So I start using this Pixel book, and I immediately run into some of that as a roadblock because I don't want to use Chrome for everything. And on my laptops, I typically use Firefox. So this became the best possible Trojan horse to get me interested in Linux again. I don't even know if I have this on. I might need to log back into it. Yeah, it's gonna make me put in my password and stuff, so I'm gonna have to do that for just a second here. But the Pixelbook Go has, a little kernel of Debian. I actually don't know how to pronounce that because I also haven't seriously used Linux in quite a while. Hold on 1 second. Let me speak. Well, hopefully I just put in my password. It's a really long password. And let me get this fired up here. So here's the deal. I really thought okay, I've got Android apps. Maybe I can use this as sort of like a split time, part-time tablet, part-time web browser. The Android app support is great, but it's not as smooth as using Android apps on a proper Android phone or Android tablet. So what's really winning me over is getting back into terminal commands, typing sudo, getting programs installed. That's really working for me. I'm really liking it. And the other one that, just having a little folder here. So I haven't done a ton yet, but I've got VLC, my favorite media player. I can, this has a decent amount of storage on it, and obviously you can connect more storage to other devices. GIMP is the photo editing software that I use on my desktop because I like trying to use open source products. I'm going to play with a couple open source video editors that, again, I type sudo, I say get app, and it just installs, and it's so nice. I really like that about Linux. I just haven't used it seriously in a while. I really like this hardware. It's a great little Core i5 notebook. It's super slim. It's really light. The keyboard has a great feel to it. Really quiet typing. I was in bed in one of our hotel rooms driving out to New Mexico. My wife's trying to sleep next to me, and I'm not clacking away like I would have on my gaming laptop with the fans kicking on full blast because that gaming laptop just runs like a blast furnace. And it was there. It was like, I got to do something else here. Android apps aren't quite getting me there for what I need to get done. And in a few cases, I tried doing some of my video editing and rendering tests, and the finished videos came out really choppy. And you're like, my phones do this better right now than Chrome OS can. What can we do with some of this Linux support? And then this whole thing just woke up. This whole thing now went from being sort of a casual student, you write a couple papers and you need to do some light editing in a photo, and so much of this is web-based. And you can do some Android-y things too, to being okay, now it feels like a real computer again. Now this feels like I could give a MacBook Air a run for its money and get some real stuff done, and it's all thanks to Linux. In the best way possible, it got me excited about pushing the limits on what these Chromebooks can do. It's just, I don't think it's the experience Google expects people to want to have. Like, Google wants, it's so simple, and you never have to worry about viruses, and you never have to manage anything. You just install a couple Android apps, and you've got shortcuts to YouTube and your Gmail, but they all open up in web browsers anyway. It's so easy, so simple. And if you like to get just a bit more oomph for your buck, Linux. Like, this is making me really excited to consider, well, maybe I should try Linux on a more powerful laptop. What can it do there? It's not making me really excited for Chrome OS. I mean, again, I look at someone like my Aunt Bree. She has a Chromebook and she loves it. She is the perfect consumer because almost everything that she does is browser based. Chrome OS makes perfect sense. She doesn't have to deal with any of the garbage of Windows. The machines are way cheaper than getting a MacBook. I mean, she is that consumer grown in a lab to be the perfect fit for Chrome OS. I really want to play more with Linux. It's so silly. So I mean, I've got a bunch of comments here. Hold on. So from Baraketh, Firefox preview is nice. I replaced Chrome with it. I can't wait for web extension support next year. The Firefox preview is good. What was their standalone privacy? Is it like Firefox Private? I can't remember now. But as soon as they made the Quantum update, so now we're into Firefox version 70, it's really good. Chrome has become an operating system. So Chrome on a Windows PC isn't the snappy, fast, sleek Microsoft Explorer replacement that it used to be. And I feel like Firefox has kind of become the sleeker, faster, privacy-focused consumer web browser that Chrome used to be. And like once you start getting into some of their extensions like the Facebook containers and social media containers and some of the little tools that you can build in with video downloaders and stuff like that, I mean, like, Firefox is the good solution for a lot of the stuff that we liked to tweak in Chrome and the faster, sleeker performance that we used to get. I like it a lot. From Q3 Becker, from Steve. I'd be surprised if you couldn't get Firefox on the Pixelbook. The EU would not be happy to know that you can only get one browser on it. Well, again, Chrome is an operating system now. It's not a browser, it's an operating system. So I started with Firefox as an app. You can get the Android version of Firefox. Doesn't quite do it on a laptop form factor. It's so close. It's really good. But again, with Linux, I fired up Linux Firefox. It works great. The only thing that sucks is you have to go through this little bit of a dance of getting sort of a corporate build of Firefox installed. Then you have to delete it and then install one of the current versions on top of that. It took me a couple minutes of Googling to figure out how to make that happen. And once I did, it's the current quantum-based Firefox version 70.0.1. And it's working great. I love it. I love using Firefox on my Chromebook. Let's see. What else did we... There was another one. From Zabotnik, have you tried the Chromium-based Edge beta? And what do you think about the development that with Microsoft giving up on the Edge HTML engine diversity has been reduced to WebKit, Quantum, and Chromium? And it also forks like Blink. I like more competition. I understand where Microsoft is going. They are making some strategic partnerships. Having Google on board some of this development and using Chromium makes a lot of sense when Microsoft is looking at Windows on ARM and is also looking at using Android for their return to phones. So from a business perspective, I get it. It makes a lot of sense for them to work on Chromium instead of creating yet another standard that developers need to support. But I feel that's also the hallmark of competition. When we have too few players in any space, the development slows. The exciting progress that we would see in even something as silly as a web browser, which we all now just sort of take for granted. Of course, we can surf the web on a browser. We lose out on the push to innovate when there are fewer players in the space. And it's another reason why I've been so excited to use Firefox is I feel they are currently doing the best job of straddling exciting new features with a consumer polished product ready to go. And that feels fresh. Like Chrome hasn't felt that way for me in a while. From Matt Tyler, the more you talk, the more I know the Pixelbook is the one I need, not a laptop overpowered with Windows. And so, Matt Tyler, he's on the SomeGadgetGuy Discord and on the Patreon channel. And we were trying to help him, like, how can he get some of his articles written? He currently doesn't have a laptop. There is a very good argument for just the core Chrome OS experience. The problem is also being a techie who likes features and functionality and getting the best bang for buck. The Pixelbook kind of wasn't doing it for me until I dug into Linux again. Firefox Focus. Thank you, Baraketh. Firefox Focus is the privacy version of the Firefox browser. And I've used it, but I'm really happy with the core Firefox experience using some of the privacy containers to lock stuff down. Matt Tyler, how are the speakers? The speakers on the Pixelbook Go are pretty nice. They are upward firing, but the shell has just enough reverberation, just enough resonance. Low frequency does travel well through the bottom casing of the laptop, so your movie and music playback is pretty good. I was watching Netflix has a Carroll Shelby documentary talking about his experiences building the Cobra and racing in 24 Hours of Le Mans. And the footage sounded pretty good. Race car engines, those old 60s and 70s film reels of cars racing around. I liked it. It had a good tone to it. The headphone jack is straight up garbage. It's so bad. It's convenient to have, and it will work fine for some light casual listening, taking a video conference call, plugging in a headset, something like that. I was trying to watch another movie. I don't remember what movie it was now. Anyway, The Longest Yard, the original, the Burt Reynolds Longest Yard. So that movie already has film hiss in the recording, right? You're doing like portable recording film decks. Like it's the audio tape used back then had to be durable. Again, already the movie has noise, has a presence, has an air to it. And plugging headphones in, it was just the entire time. It was so bad. It made me want to break out. Like, I'll just get a USB sound card and hopefully Chrome OS knows what to do with it. Not good. One of those times where I'd want to say, maybe use Bluetooth instead for your audio if you want headphones to go with your Pixelbook Go. I was a bit disappointed with that. Steve, Q3 Becker, do you remember Firefox OS for mobile? Another missed opportunity. Again, it would have been another flavor of Linux with some cool options on touch. I was just going to say from Natakun61, Ubuntu Touch, same thing. So many good ideas that we could have had for some competition. And I still hold out some hope that maybe in this next phase of phones starting to replace laptops, that maybe we can come back to that. You think about some of the crazy powerful Android hardware we have today. They're starting to get desktop modes. It's already built on a Linux kernel. It's just different software running on top. There could be an aftermarket, you know, similar to some of the ROMs that we get for extended support. We could maybe start working towards, hey, your phone's got a Snapdragon 845 and it's 3 years old. Maybe we could just slap proper Linux on there instead. And you could have a phone computer that can plug into a laptop or plug into a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse. And that could be someone's overall computing platform. Could be good. Goran Petrovic, general decline in audio quality on gadgets is annoying. It's all about cameras now. And again, we're talking about a Pixel Book. So, I mean, like, the webcam's fine. Like, it can duo. That's good. But that's, like, all it's for. Drives me nuts. Like, one of the things about a streaming solution, think about what Chrome OS really is. It's like, it's your web life in a cute rectangular shell, right? I feel like that's a common use scenario, is streaming a movie. Like, that to me seems like something people would want to do on this kind of hardware. And just the idea that, like, if I plugged headphones into this, it's that hissy, it's that noisy, makes me a little bit sad. I'm on the airplane. I've downloaded a few movies from Netflix. I'm ready to fly, and I plug in some really nice in-ear monitors that are going to help me block all of the engine sounds. And that's the audio quality I'd get. Would make me more than a little bit sad. Yeah, not the best. So Matt's trying to get me to swear again. Matt Tyler, hopefully when they're done effing about with cameras, they'll go back to audio and bring back jacks with quad DACs on all laptops and phones. I think we can hope, but I think there's too much money to be made in not giving us that option. When Steve, Q3 Becker, I think when Apple gave up on audio quality on their devices, most OEMs followed. I mean, again, you spend less making the gadget, you charge more for the gadget because it looks sleeker and has fewer holes, and then you get to charge even more to make people buy new headphones that they didn't need to buy before. I'll be very surprised if, you know, by 2021 every company has given up on trying to make high quality audio any part of the mobile gadget experience, and that makes me really sad. I'm really holding out hope that LG will continue for another year, at least another year, if not longer. But, you know, why keep supporting quad DACs in your phones if gadget nerds on YouTube are going to keep slamming your phones for not being exactly like Samsung? And Samsung has already started getting rid of headphone jacks. It's sad. It should be better than this, and it's not. From LFA Reviews, I need to ship you some of these IEM I recently received. I think you would love the tin hi-fi. Yes, I do. We can talk. I would absolutely like to take you up on snaking some tin. I've seen nothing but incredible praise for what they're doing on their current earbuds and in-ear monitors. So yes, I'm actually like going in to write you a message and we can talk about that. And then also my chat just froze. So let me go back in. Hopefully I didn't bork the stream or anything like that. And let's get back and see. Ah, there it goes. It's perfectly fine. From Goran Petrovic, the blue dragonfly is unavoidable, it seems. That tin 4 looks really nice. It's sad. I don't want... If we're going to do that, the thing that really spoiled me on the ROG2 was having a second port. So if I wanted to connect a USB audio device and charge the phone at the same time while I'm playing a really graphics intense game, that worked really well. I don't like having one port for everything. if you want to make USB audio the solution, and we're going to have USB audio dongles to connect to headphones, great. But give me 2 USB ports. It's all built on this, like, we're going to make a part of this as inconvenient and as painful to use as possible, so that you then have to go out and buy other accessories to fix what we broke. And to me, the big push into Bluetooth for Bluetooth audio feels a lot like we weren't getting as many sales as we wanted with just Bluetooth on its own merits. So now we broke the audio experience and we're making it painful so that you have to go out and fix it with Bluetooth. And Bluetooth doesn't solve all of those problems. Bluetooth doesn't work for gaming. Bluetooth is terrible on phones for gaming. So it's really frustrating. I don't, it shouldn't be like this. Audio should be easier, more accessible, and universal, because we all have ears, I guess. So that's actually the last thing. I can't thank you guys enough, because you're way better at leading me into segues. The savior of our trip, the one piece of technology that performed way better than I had any expectations, that helped keep the peace between my wife, my daughter, and I, and again, coming down to treating your ears better. The Puro Bluetooth active noise canceling headphones for kids. I promise you, I will make this commitment to you today, dear viewer, dear listener. I am not going to turn my YouTube channel into a Tech for Kids YouTube channel, but I cannot praise these headphones enough. Closed back, Bluetooth cans, small form factor for little kid ears. And that's critical. There are plenty of great low-cost solutions out there. I've played with Mixter. I've played with MPOW. You can get some really nice, some surprisingly nice active noise canceling headphones for cheap for grown-ups. But as you start to look at the biology of a tiny little human who has smaller ears than you, has a smaller head than you, like the fact that these don't fit on my skull, like I have to bend against the headband to just get them around my ears. These things are amazing. They're a little pricey. I think they're on sale now for like $70. So that is like twice as expensive as like a starter Bluetooth active noise canceling headphone from like Mixter, right? But I haven't found anything that really considers the smaller biology, closed back, and the noise canceling is actually pretty good. It's obviously not going to be at the tier of like Bose. We're not talking about a product that's going to compete against Sony's, but we're driving in a car. There's a lot of road noise. My Nissan is, quiet, but it's not like super, super quiet. And you can set the volume limits. So as she's kind of playing around with the buttons, she kept pausing the movie. That was a little frustrating. But, she would also play around with the volume buttons. We could set volume limits so she's not blowing out her ears. And we also know that when we turn on the noise cancellation, it's cutting the road noise from us driving through the desert. So she's not getting tangled up in a cable. She's able to watch Moana as we're speeding through the desert at 80 miles an hour. And we know that she's not blowing out her ears. Like, she's just not capable of jacking up the volume to a point where it's doing damage. This made the car drive so much more enjoyable for everyone in the car. So specifically, this is Puro, the Puro Sound Labs little kid Bluetooth active noise canceling headset. Nicely made, great cushy material, nice squishy foam on the ear cups, and it's cute. Like, she likes it because it's pink and white, and she's a girl, and she likes, cute princessy things. She made us all go watch Frozen 2. But they also come in, I think they come in like a turquoise and then like a gray. They come in a couple different colors. But I loved being able to start a hearing health and sound quality conversation with my daughter right from the get-go. We're not trying to find some other solution which kind of fits her but then leaks, so like noise is getting in because the ear cups are too large. We're not trying to clamp something onto her head that doesn't quite fit her, so it's uncomfortable. She had some agency and to control the volume. Like she's already learning about the mechanics of turning things up and turning things down and pausing and playing and doing all that stuff. And she, at 4, was able to hear the difference between, oh, this switch changed something. And then she turned on the noise cancellation and then everything got way quiet. And she thought that was hilarious. She turned it off. She could hear the car. She turned it on and it got quiet. And like that was a game. That was just part of playing with good headphones. So the entire family this year, obviously I have way too many headphones. My wife got molded in-ear monitors, so they're, biologically fit to her ears. She's been caring about audio a lot more. And these are the best headphones she's ever owned. She's not borrowing headphones from me. They're her earbuds. She cares about better audio now. She's going through the music collection on our NAS and finding those tracks that are, saved in super high quality and FLAC files and stuff. Like little glimmers of like, this matters to her now. And now with my daughter, same thing. You want to watch a movie? We've got an old beat up tablet in the car. You can watch Moana. I saved it. It's great. And she's doing it on a really decent pair of headphones that are fit for her. And that's exciting. Like there are these little glimmers, like we're taking this stuff more seriously. And how Trek made me so happy. They're Bluetooth. They still have a cable connection. So when the battery died, Daddy was able to break out the cable, plug it directly into the tablet. She could still keep watching her movie. The noise cancellation turned off because the battery was dead, but that made me real happy. So this saved the car ride. When we had cranky, hangry toddler, she was watching Moana on this and was able to kind of calm down and settle down. It was pretty cool. From Aditya Anil. Ooh, pink and white. Snazzy. LFA reviews. I like that color. I mean, it's so cute. It's catching my studio lights, so it's not quite. It's more of a jewel tone pink, I think. I think it is kind of showing up a bit magenta on the camera, but it's a bit more of a pink than an electric neon red. She looks so cute when she's wearing them too. And because, we're driving through freezing conditions, it was nice to also have like earmuffs. I had these in the bag. We didn't need to use them, but it made me so happy to know if we were out and about and I had my little tech backpack on me, that if something loud came up, I had a solution to cover her ears with active noise cancellation to protect her hearing. And they're closed back. So, even without the ANC, like it would at least cut like some of the noise if we were stuck in a situation like some outdoor concert or something, which we wouldn't have gone to in freezing conditions in New Mexico with 4 inches of snowfall. But again, I like knowing that we've got something that we can pop on her head, protect what's going on around her, and teach her that it's okay to cover her ears if there's a loud noise. It's huge. It's so good. Stuff like that just makes me so happy. From Fat Produce, this is the downside to getting something fit for a kid. Hopefully Lex won't grow out of those headphones for a couple of years at least. When you're buying something like this, and especially when you see how fast kids grow, maybe 2 years, maybe 3. I think we'll get 2 solid years and then maybe a year of these being a bit snug. As you can see, like, they don't extend much because they're built for kids. But I think 2 solid years. What is that, like $30 a year? If you get them on sale, like they originally retailed at $100. $100 was a bit steep, but then you compare that to the garbage that they sell to kids. I think I showed him off in one video a long time ago. We needed something. Lex had just turned 2. And we thought it would just be kind of cute if she could also watch a movie on an airplane ride. And like the headphones that we got, these Disney princess headphones, the worst plasticky, fragile garbage. And you would put them around your ears and there was no seal. They were uncomfortable. They were mostly hard plastic. And they leaked like crazy. So you could hear the sound coming out of them, which meant they weren't blocking any of the airplane noise. I mean, you were basically just teaching the kid. They had this little like slider thing. It was like an impedance adapter so that the parent could control the volume. But basically all you're doing is teaching the kid to turn up the volume as high as possible so that you can block all of the airplane noises around you. Garbage. I mean, just instant e-waste. And the thing that just broke my heart was, she saw them and she saw like Belle is on one ear cup and I think Snow White is on another, and on the packaging there's Sleeping Beauty, and she goes, "Oh, beautiful princesses." And you're like, I really wish I hadn't shown you these before I took a listen on them, because they were terrible. And that's what we sell to kids. Oh, get your kids something cheap with some franchise on it that they're gonna love, and it's gonna destroy their hearing. Thank you, Sound Labs, for making a product for kids with good audio quality, above average audio quality, above average noise cancellation, good battery life, in a form factor appropriate for your target audience. This is huge. I can't say enough nice things about Sound Labs there. Awesome. Let's see. Did LFA... Yep, LFA Reviews has the link in the live chat, and I'll add links to the show later. But yeah, those are exactly them. Let me because we got to wrap this up. We're getting to the end of the show. If you're on the Patreon, I'm going to be doing a state of the Patreon hopefully over the weekend. This next coming weekend. I wasn't able to get one set up for November. I was hoping I could do one in New Mexico, but data was not cooperating while we were on the road. I'm going to be breaking down my strategy for YouTube in 2020, how we're going to be diversifying the different video platforms that we're sharing videos on. And then one of the things that I think is going to be the biggest political point of my channel getting into next year, to share it with you folks watching right now or listening to this podcast. I want to start a campaign for higher quality audio, healthier hearing, and hearing protection. And so next year is the year 2020. And I feel like 2020 is going to be the perfect pun for vision, 2020 vision. So I want to start a campaign of 2020 hearing for 2020. There in May, it's International Hearing Protection Month, and in October, it's International Healthy Hearing Month. I might have those mixed up, but I'm probably gonna be getting a bit obnoxious about hearing as a cause. We are 10 years into some disturbing trends in hearing loss, especially affecting the youngest people in our society, with radical spikes in hearing damage in teens and young adults. We're starting to see an uptick in young adults and people my age who are well past needing some kind of hearing assistance, if not outright hearing aids. Hearing aids mostly aren't covered by insurance. So you're looking at, what, $2,000 an ear, $3,000 an ear if you need a good, high-quality hearing aid. There is a significant amount of mental health that goes into hearing damage and hearing loss. You start to encounter behavioral issues with hearing loss. You start to encounter social issues with hearing loss. And no one acts like that's a big deal. We still run into this cultural apathy surrounding hearing health. And that's a shame. We are raising our second deaf generation and not really doing much to counteract that or giving people resources to do better with that. And I don't feel like I can just continue to sit idly by and let this go unmentioned. So next year, hashtag 2020 hearing. That's going to be my campaign for the year. I want to make regular videos about talking about these topics. I want to interview more people, and not just doctors. Like, I have an interview with one of the country's best top audiologists, and that doesn't really resonate. You know, like, people don't want to hear it. Maybe they can't hear it because they're deaf, because they listen to AirPods. We can do better. We can do this cheaper. You know, we can help people. And I feel like this is the platform I have to make that happen. I'm going to use it. So that's going to be a part of a larger topic about, you know, where to go with YouTube and what to do with video and all this other stuff. But 2020 hearing. And I hope folks, I'm going to be reaching out to LFA because I think he's going to be a great ally in discussing some of these topics. But this was like a huge experience. You know, a little kid Bluetooth headset clicked so immediately, and like a little light bulb went off in my head, and you're like, I'm the one who's responsible to teach my daughter how to do things like protect her hearing. We don't think twice about teaching kids like, oh, well, it's bright outside and you need, you know, sunglasses, and oh, you should put on sunscreen, and hey, maybe don't play with that electrical socket. But I feel like there's so much information lacking when it comes to hearing health, and that most of the time people even start examining their issues, it's after substantial damage has been done, and you can't undo it. Like, it doesn't come back. It doesn't heal. So let's get ahead of that conversation before people need to make radical lifestyle adjustments and spend a ton of money out of pocket to get this stuff done. So 2020 hearing. Aditya Anil, make hearing healthy again. Ooh. But yes. LFA reviews. I need to grab a few for my friends' kids. I appreciate the recommendation, especially for little ones. You know, like, we know they're going to be getting into watching movies on tablets and getting into technology, playing games, stuff like that. Oh man, this one was an eye opener, an ear opener, an eye opener. It worked really well for me. From Goran Petrovic, I was never into loud music. I just wanted it to sound the best that I could afford. And again, quality. There are so many good solutions out there that won't break the bank and will be better for the environment. So again, it won't just be about respecting your ears. It'll also be about respecting your cash and respecting the planet. So LFA, thank you so much. LFA is telling people in the chat, use Juan's link when he posts it. You don't want to take affiliate sales, but seriously, I mean, if you want to shop them right now and you're in this live chat right now, LFA, thank you so much for looking them up on Amazon. You know, we can all share the wealth, right? This is all something we all care about. You're not taking anything from me. You're doing me a service by helping me in this moment. Share that link. From Matt Tyler, we should in our respective countries set up pages, anything else to raise awareness of hearing loss and products that can cause it, and so on. From John Fay 3, 2020, give us the jack back. Mr. Pulp Fiction, here in Germany, kids' headphones are limited in max volume. We're just now finding I'm just now finding, I shouldn't say we're just now finding, I'm just now finding those solutions here. Like the limiter built into these headphones. Any products marketed towards kids typically have some kind of volume limit or hearing protection limit. The problem goes, if you make a crap product that doesn't seal around the ear very well, that doesn't block out noise very well, even with some sort of threshold, the kid is basically just going to max out that threshold. So they're still going to be listening louder than they needed to overcome the crappiness of the design. So, I mean, like my example with the Disney headphones that we got my daughter, yeah, that limit helps. That threshold helps. But she could have been listening a lot quieter, getting more enjoyment out of the movie that she was watching, and her hearing would have been better buffered and better protected over a longer period of time because she would have been hitting it with less intensity from the get-go. And that's where the Puro were so awesome, is that she was playing with the volume, but she was at about halfway when these things are already volume limited. So, I mean, she was well below the threshold for most of her listening, well below the threshold for what would have been doing hearing damage, because closed back noise canceling cans were allowing her to hear the audio so much better than open, crappy, plasticky, leaky headphones from Disney. Matt Tyler, bring Jack back. Some guy turns up with a guy named Jack. Ah, darn it. So again, I mean, there are conversations and there are things that we need to kind of improve across the industry. I'm gonna make audio my cause, so I apologize in advance, but I probably will get a bit annoying, stomping around and throwing around opinions and continuously bringing up this topic as we get into next year, as we get out of 2019. But I see so many trends that I don't like. And I've tried a few other products that I don't even know if I'll finish reviews for. But, you know, I think we can point to a couple major players in this industry right now that are not delivering are not delivering the best products they could. They still get to charge a lot, so they're still expensive, but they could be better for us. They could be better for the planet. It's time to start pushing back, I feel, against some of these apathetic trends. So we'll do what we can. We at least won't let the conversation go undiscussed. We'll leave it there. All right, folks, got to wrap this up. The wife and the daughter and I have one extra day off, so we're going to go set up our Christmas tree now that we're properly out of Thanksgiving. Mr. Pulp Fiction, will you test more headphones in 2020? I absolutely will. So one of the things that I'm hoping to do, we just wrapped up a partnership. I just wrapped up a collaboration, I should say, with Audio-Technica. And that was the last little bit of housekeeping wrap up. So thank you again. You guys are really good at prepping my transitions here, because that was a much smoother transition than what I was going to do on my own. I gave away an Audio-Technica G1WL, an absolutely phenomenal gaming headset. Hold on, let me just screen share this again, because I think it's still near the front here. So right after I did an editorial on Apple basically making e-waste out of audio products, but the company I was really excited to work with, Audio-Technica, the ATH G1WL, this was a phenomenal wireless gaming headset. Wireless and gaming don't often go together well. I think we can trust a company with the audio manufacturing reputation of Audio-Technica did this really well. So I did the giveaway. And I like to reward participation. I do not like it when a giveaway goes to a contest account, right? You click on the Twitter icon and it's just an egg profile picture and nothing but contest links with 0 followers, right? I actually write it into my terms my contest terms that I will not give away a product to someone like that. But I also want to reward those people that like to have a little bit more fun, that like to dig into things. So it was a normal contest. Like, you follow me on Twitter and you get 1 point, 1 entry into this contest. If you record a sample of your current headset solution, that was worth 50 entries. 50 points towards Gryffindor. So I was so excited. The person who won this headset, Alex, actually did record, and it was his entry recording a sample of his current headset that won him a $250 wireless gaming headset from Audio-Technica. So I just put out the email. He's already replied. We've already got everything set up. I try and do it so it's like, if you don't respond to this email within 48 hours, I'm going to pick another winner so it doesn't drag on forever. He replied in like minutes. So real quick, this was the sample. I actually don't think the sample of his headset sounded too bad, but this is, let me turn up my desktop audio, kind of mute my mic here for just a second. But this was the winning entry of my Audio-Technica collaboration to win an ATH G1WL.
My current solution is a really cheap Logitech headset that has a microphone. I got it because it was cheap and I needed something at the time. My normal pair of headphones is the Audio-Technica M50Xs. I love those, but they don't have a microphone, so when I game, I have to use this one, and it's not really good. This is the ideal solution where I'm not typing or anything, but anytime that I'm moving the cable anywhere near my head, you can kind of hear it in the microphone. When I am typing on my mechanical keyboard, you can definitely hear it, and it's really hard to hear. All of my friends have said that they just want me to mute my mic all the time because it's just really, really hard to hear me. I would definitely like to win this. It would be an amazing gift. Hello, I am
he was so cute. Alex is adorable. Giving his little voice sample of his Logitech, even tapping on his mechanical keyboard, made me so happy that the person who won this headset was actually into this stuff, wasn't just a contest junkie, and that my gimmick, I always try and do one gimmick in my contests, like shoot a video telling us why, and I'll give you 100 entries into this contest, was actually the winner. So I've already sent Alex his email. He says thank you so much, and he also was very effusive, and again, an adorable email reply coming back from him, like, oh my god, I can't believe I won. Here's my shipping info. Please, 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 please. Thank you. But yeah, it just made me really happy that was a part of Thanksgiving. If I'm gonna make better audio products and better hearing health a cause, I'm thankful for good audio, and a huge thank you and a huge shout out to Audio-Technica for doing this romp with me, because it was a lot of fun to put this one together. It always feels nice when I really do like the product in a giveaway and I get to share that with someone who's really into it too. So and thank you, those of you in the chat. Tell Alex we said congratulations. Give him our love, and I absolutely will. I'll let him know that his entry was just a part of the podcast. I don't think I disclosed that in the contest. I probably shouldn't have done that without his permission, but got to do that. And John Fay 3, I have the Audio-Technica ATH-M. Audio-Technica, one of the most respected brands in audio recording. What I hope to do over the next year, as the long way of answering your question, Mr. Pulp Fiction, is I'm reaching out to Audio-Technica. I'm reaching out to Sennheiser. I'm good buddies with the folks at Me Audio. I also want to try and host some discussions, have some interviews or some conversations about the manufacturing side of this. Because I think that's a part of this where it's too easy just to look at sales trends and say, oh, well, this garbage over here is really popular, so we can make something like it and we can make a lot of money off of it, as opposed to getting the story from companies and from engineers and from developers that have been in the audio space for generations. The learned experience of engineers at Audio-Technica and Sennheiser, Neumann, AKG is bought out by Samsung. There's a reason why Samsung buys a company like Hardin and AKG, you know? There's just a wealth of talent in the audio space there. That makes a difference. So I've already reached out to Audio-Technica and to Sennheiser. AT seems like they're on board. Like I might get some one-on-one time with some of their engineers to kind of tell a story about manufacturing and audio fidelity. And that's going to be another part of this too. Just a little bit beyond. I mean, I want to be careful. I don't want to just make a commercial for Audio-Technica about how great they are. But a lot of science goes into making a premium, high-quality audio experience that doesn't always get communicated in a review. And I feel like that's another part of this that I really want to tell that story over next year. And we can do that with a couple different companies, a couple different brands. Oh, Beyerdynamic. That was the other one. I've also reached out to Beyerdynamic to see if I can get some hands-on time with some of their engineers too. Because that's another company I've just sort of fallen in love with again over this last year. Getting some 770s and those Beyerdynamic Lagoon Bluetooth, really good. So, short story, incredibly long. Yes, I'll still keep reviewing some headphones over the next year. But I also hope to contribute a bit more to that discussion than just the headphones and the reviews. So, folks, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the podcast. Thanks so much for sticking in there. This was another casual... This was sort of my first, I'm just going to push go and see what comes out of my face without any real show notes or links or anything to do. I mean, I'll post some of the housekeeping links, I guess, but it's going to be just a comfy show for you folks to hang out with. Thank you so much for those of you who showed up in the live chat. This was, again, makes me so happy to host these conversations because I know I can always count on you to have fun in the live chat, keeping me on point, giving me better transitions than what I would have done on my own and talking about cool stuff. And then the last part of this, we're getting into that, the final push for the holiday season. I always tweet this. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of the year. It's the holiday that I feel my family focuses the most on family. Christmas is always cool. Giving and getting gifts, that's fun. But for us, we're all focused on this task of making an amazing meal and bringing something new. Like, we're always trying to impress each other and one-up each other. But it's one of the few times that we're there focused on each other through the metaphor of food, right? So when I tweet something for a holiday, it's usually the sentiment, my wish for you on a holiday, my wish for you this time of year is that you are safe, that you are warm, that you're well fed, and that you get to spend some time this holiday season with people who care about you. If it's for a Thanksgiving, if it's for religious celebration, if it's for a local holiday, if it's something regional that's unique to you, your culture, your people, or if it's just a Saturday and you get to fulfill that criteria, that is my wish for you this holiday season. I hope you are safe. I hope you are warm. I hope you're well fed. And I hope you get to spend some time with someone who cares about you. From the Bagnell family, a belated happy Thanksgiving and a run up to the December holiday of your choice or a New Year's celebration if you're so inclined. And I think we'll be happy to wrap this year up and see what comes. But the wrapping up of this year is also important unto itself. I hope you're safe, warm, well-fed, and spending time with people who care about you. And if you'd like to jump into some tech conversations, if you'd like to continue discussing some of these topics, obviously you can reach out to me on the socials at SomeGadgetGuy across the internet. And you know where you can find me next week on another episode, which will be prepped with news links and articles and more reviews, not just a rambling affair of spending 15 hours in a car with a toddler, on another episode of the SGGQA podcast on the SGGQA podcast channel. Monday morning tech chat next week. 9 a.m. Pacific time. Be there, be square. SomeGadgetGuy.com will have all of the info on everything that's going on this channel, on the YouTubes, and on the podcast. And I'll catch you back here next week. I want you to have a fantastic week with your technology. I want you to do awesome with your tech. I want you to be awesome with your tech. And I'll catch you back here next week for the show. Be safe. I love you all. Take care.